Hello, and thank you for joining us for another podcast of the Gospel Rescue Mission. My name is Brian Botel. I'm the Director of Resident Services, and today I'm talking with John Davis, our men's coordinator, as we just review kind of what happened in the last week. It was a great interview, a great talk between he and I. I hope that you enjoy it. Listen in, and let's see what we were talking about. I am here today with John Davis, who is the men's coordinator. Say hi, John.
Hi, everybody.
He's the men's coordinator of the Gospel Rescue Mission. And we're just kicking it, having a conversation in my office, and we're talking about things that have happened over the week at the Gospel Rescue Mission. And so, like we said, we're in the midst of the coronavirus. Maybe you're listening to the coronavirus outbreak. Maybe you're listening to this and thinking, yeah, me too. I wonder what this is doing to the guys at the mission. John, what's happening to the guys at the mission right now?
Well, we actually have quite a few guys who have left on good terms.
Yep.
Lately, leaving with a job, money in the bank, and a place to live.
Man, this last month, maybe a couple of weeks, it's just been really good. Another consistent good month for the Gospel Rescue. Now, how many guys do you think left here well?
In the last month, probably 15.
Yeah. 15. So that's guys leaving with a job and a home.
Yes.
Yeah. 15 guys in a month. That's it's. I want to go, yay, but in a way, it's really not terribly unordinary for the mission. It's just springtime. We see a kind of a boost in these, spring and summer. We start seeing a boost because obviously jobs start to pick up, employment starts to pick up. But we have a pretty good employment rate here most of the time. A lot of the guys that come here are able to get jobs relatively quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, I have a few people who had applied for jobs prior to coming here, mm-hmm. and then got hired shortly after they became residents.
Okay.
Those people were still, kind of nurturing them along and trying to make sure that they're doing all the right things and making all the right choices.
Yeah.
But most of the time, because there is a rule that you can't look for work in the first 30 days you're here,
right.
Most of the time, those people who start looking for work after their first 30 days find it quickly, within a week or 2 weeks.
Why do you think that is?
I think that it's because they did spend the 30 days without looking for work and concentrating on themselves, on what their hang-ups are, and getting clean. For those who are addicts or alcoholics, they're taking the time to really work on themselves rather than jumping right into trying to find work.
Yeah, that's a big deal. A lot of guys that come here, it seems like they just are really confident. Oh, all I need is a job. All I need is a job. All I need is a job. And you ask them, well, how long has it been since you've been looking for work? And, I've been looking for 6 months now, and go, I tell you what, probably you ought to stop looking for a minute,
Yeah.
You cut that out, and just relax and let's focus on some of the reasons why in the last 6 months, while you've been looking for work, you haven't gotten any.
Right.
And then when they're able to just stop, relax, slow their roll down a little bit, a lot of times we can address other issues. Maybe their lack of good job clothes, maybe their lack of presentation of themselves. Maybe they just need to clean up and get some time sober under their belt and all that kind of stuff to where
and some sleep.
If
they're living on the streets, whether they're using or not using, lack of sleep is a big thing.
It really is.
And You know, if when they come in here, they've got a bed,
Yeah.
they've got food, and they've got a roof over their head,
Yeah.
and they don't need a job in the first 30 days.
Yeah, that's right. Everything's paid for.
Yeah.
Yep. It's amazing how much just having 3 good nutritious meals every day and consistent routine sleep every day, what that does for completely changing the countenance of somebody over the period of that first 30 days. I mean, they can come in, and as impressive as they may be, which they're generally not terribly impressive, but as impressive as they may think they are when they come in, boy, they sure look a whole lot better after being in here for 30 days.
Absolutely. I mean, there's times where people will, when they check in, and then after their 30-day review,
Yeah.
I look at their intake picture,
Yeah.
and I don't even, they don't look like the same person. They look like a completely different person.
You can't add enough value to that right there, and it's hard to explain when somebody says, well, but man, that just doesn't seem right. They need to work, they need a job, and everybody's so focused on this end goal, but not realizing that they're skipping all this stuff that's so equally important before they can even begin to get to that end goal. And boy, that 30 days is just so powerful. We've seen more and more and more over the years people who really just benefit from that 30-day stay. They really, 30 days of sobriety for some people, this is the first 30 days sober they've had in a long time. It's the first 30 days where they've just had regular sleep, and they'll complain because, the first week they probably don't sleep all that well, but you get tired enough, and you get into force this cycle on them long enough, they'll eventually start sleeping like a baby.
And eventually you get used to the snoring.
Yep.
And you sleep. I mean, your body can only go so long without good sleep until it just shuts down and you sleep.
Yep, that's right. So, well, hey, so I was thinking this week was really this was an interesting week for us. I mean, every week's interesting, and people never really, you can't overstate the crazy that can happen at the Gospel Rescue Mission. And you and I, coming in here every day, doing it day in and day out. And in fact, I've been so impressed with you and how fast it's become just routine for you. But for so many people, I mean, the things that happen every day that we take, it's just part of the job and it's what we do, would shock probably the average person on the outside looking in and don't understand the kind of things that you face every day as a men's coordinator at the mission. We were talking on Monday, every Monday at, was it Monday or Tuesday? I forget which. It was Tuesday. Every Tuesday at 2:00, we have a meeting with our resident assistants, and we're constantly training them. We're constantly training them, giving them good leadership skills, teaching them, about the way the mission works and everything. And remember, most of these, RAs were just homeless, themselves within a couple of months prior. So they're being trained to a level of leadership that's pretty extraordinary. And as we were going through, we were just reminding them. I remember sitting there reminding them, both the men and women RAs, about the importance of the policies and procedures of the Gospel Rescue Mission, why they're so important. And I was pointing out, I was referring them back to a time when somebody was terribly victimized here years ago at the mission because simply a procedure was overlooked. A simple routine procedure of locking a door was overlooked, was disregarded, and it resulted in a lot of damage being done and a lot of trauma coming from that procedure being overlooked. And we'd gone through this discussion about, why do we have the rules? Why do we have these so-called barriers to entry into this place? And it seemed like a good meeting. We always talk about, how do we handle this situation? How do we handle that situation? And I thought the meeting went pretty well. And then I don't know, it must have been 3 or 4 hours later.
About 3 hours later.
Yeah, you send me a text. By the way, Brian, thought you ought to hear this from me. Tell me what happened.
So the way I found out about it, I had already left for the day.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in my chair at home and I get a phone call from another employee.
Yeah.
And asking what's going on at the mission. There's cops everywhere. And I said, I don't know. I'll see if I can find out.
Yeah.
As soon as I hung up the phone with him, I get a phone call from my head RA.
Yeah.
One of the residents who was had checked in that day
Yeah.
threatened someone with a gun and went out to his car, said he was going to go to his car and get a gun and shoot him.
Yeah. So didn't actually threaten him with a gun yet, but said, I'm going to go out to my car, get a gun, and do harm to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how it went down.
Yeah.
And then the RAs that were on duty blocked off the door, wouldn't let anybody go near the door,
Yep.
and called 911 immediately.
Which is the procedure for that kind of a violent threat of any
Absolutely.
kind. We just go, okay, here's what we do. When somebody makes a violent threat like that, as soon as they walk out the door, that door locks.
Yes.
And nobody's allowed to get near the door, and we call 911, which they did perfectly.
Yes.
Yep.
The police responded, I think they said within a minute and a half.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It was very quick and had, before he was even able to come back from his car, the police converged on him, got him at gunpoint, and arrested him.
Wow. So big thank you and a shout out to the Grants Pass Police Department
Absolutely.
that did, again, phenomenal work on that. They were quick. They responded immediately. And because of that, we were safe. The procedures, the policies, everybody followed them to the T. And because of that, everybody in the house was safe.
And had they not followed them to a T, it would have been a tragedy here at the Gospel Rescue Mission.
Yeah.
Because the police did find loaded guns in his car.
Wow. Everybody goes, yeah, but he's just a homeless guy. He can't be that threatening. It can't be that bad. They're just innocent people who are, just on a hard times and everything. And yet, this person was not one of those. And in fact, you just never have the luxury of banking on what kind of person is coming in the door. I mean,
Right.
they tell you one thing about themselves, but oddly enough, they don't always tell you the truth.
Right.
People that are intending to do harm don't always start off with, by the way, I'm wearing a T-shirt that tells you I'm planning to do harm today.
Right.
So we were able to pay good attention to the threat level, and we were able to recognize it. We were able to address it, and everybody handled that very, very well. So praise God that everybody, including the man who intended to do harm, got away safely.
Yeah.
He was arrested safely, and nobody was damaged. Nobody was hurt. The report I heard by that time was that they had actually blocked off the street on both ends. The cops had moved very, very quickly on this.
They had blocked off G Street from
The corner where it turns off and
Booth Street.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fantastic. So yeah, and good job to our resident assistants, and good job to the training that we do here. It's you can never bat 1,000, but man, we'll take this one. We'll take a win for the team for sure.
Absolutely.
And thank the Lord for that. The thing about barriers when we're checking people in. When somebody thinks in terms of barriers, is why do you make people jump through certain kinds of hoops in order to let them come stay with you at the Gospel Rescue Mission? One of the primary concerns that you as a men's coordinator is thinking about, and even the resident assistants are thinking about as somebody's walking through the door. You don't have the luxury of thinking about that person as an individual yet. You really have to think about the safety of the people that are already in the building and already working the program, and you already have relationship with.
Yes. You not only have to think of their physical safety, but their emotional and mental safety too.
Yeah.
If that person coming in looks like they have been using recently or drinking recently, that it's not safe for the people who have been here for a little while, who are addicts, that are trying to get themselves cleaned up.
Yeah.
It could be a trigger.
Yeah, no, for sure. And the thing that I always struggled when I was a men's coordinator was just thinking about, again, I have people that I already know, and somebody would call and be angry because, or be really insistent, trying to push really hard to get me to let an individual in the door. And really kind of, it seemed as if they're trying to push past my checkpoints. They're just like, no, you don't understand. He just really needs a place to stay right now. No, he's a really good guy. No, he's really at the bottom of he's got nowhere else to go. It's very cold outside. He's really vulnerable, blah, blah, blah. And they really want me to just say yes. And all they're thinking about is that one individual, when I have to think to myself, there's 60 other men in this building.
Yes.
And I have to be concerned about their safety first. So before I can even consider this person, I really have to consider him in light of these other people who they're already demonstrating to me every day that they want to be here. They're following the rules, they're working the program, they're working hard on those things. Why would I jeopardize the bird in the hand for the bird in the bush, right? And so it's just it makes much more sense to protect those that we've got that are already committed, and maybe this person that they want to come into the program will become one of them. But the only way I'll know, the only way you'll ever know, is if you take the time to give them a real thorough interview. You really have to ask uncomfortable questions sometimes, and you have to sometimes even place up a barrier or two to kind of help demonstrate. We're looking to discover what kind of person is this? Mm-hmm. Is this person coming into this house where 60 other people live? Or, next door I may have 30 women and 15 children or something, and I'm letting this virtual stranger, potentially come in and live with them, and putting them potentially at risk. It's a lot at stake.
And on, back to the interviewing, it's kind of interesting how many grown men come into my office to do an intake interview, and halfway through they just bust down crying.
Yeah.
Because these are difficult questions to ask.
Yeah.
But it's information that we need to know about them before we can let them stay here.
Yeah.
You're the safety of the house.
Yeah. And you're not asking them in order to insult them. You're not looking to hurt them in any ways. In fact, you're wanting to know that they're safe, and then once they're in, you're going to ask the same question of the next person that might want to come in order to keep that person safe.
Right.
It's really about that safety. And so, that's the kind of thing that, when I continually hear this kind of mantra of low barrier shelter going on out there, I go, I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say, I want to make it easy for people who want to leave the streets to come in, and I want it to be as easy as it needs to be for them, but at the same time, I don't want, the idea that, that we're somehow, or that there's some I don't know, virtue in being low barrier that's greater than having barriers. I could say that there's more virtue in what happened on Monday or Tuesday or whatever day it was, and with the saving of the lives of potentially 60 men, because there was not a shooting incident
Right.
in this place. That's virtuous. That's
Absolutely.
more virtuous than letting him in, and having no barrier and everything. And so and what makes that work is by having good staff in place and good resident assistants that are continually and regularly trained, and look, they're not flawless in executing that training, and any more than you and I are,
Right, absolutely.
flawless as staff members, executing our training and
Right.
everything. But we're constantly we keep this stuff in the front of our minds, and that's the stuff that makes a place like the Gospel Rescue Mission safe and good, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's training is very important for staff and residents.
Yeah.
I mean, the staff can't train the residents if they don't get trained,
Yep.
and the residents, we're constantly teaching them how to become productive citizens.
Yeah. That's right.
And that is ultimately the goal here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so that's probably the most exciting news from the Gospel Rescue Mission this week. I mean, among the many things that could be said, we're all surviving. The coronavirus outbreak. We have no outbreaks here. We practice really good hygiene protocols. We do the same kind of disinfecting and things that take place in hospitals and nursing homes. And in fact, in many ways, I'd like to think that we do a little bit better. We run ozone generators. We do. We go a little bit above and beyond in a lot of ways. We're making everybody really pay attention to the hand washing. We're really trying to be focused on everybody's health. And so I would certainly say if you're somebody that's listening to or a supporter of the Gospel Rescue Mission, we really covet your prayers right now. This is a time when we all need each other's support. We also realize that everybody's probably a little scared and probably taking some of their own, resources and reserving them for keeping their homes safe. We totally understand that. But if you have any extra and can support the Gospel Rescue Mission, that's always a good thing. We thank you for that. Please don't forget about us. And because obviously there's a lot of people at stake right now, probably about 100 residents, men, women, and children staying here that really need that support and really need to know that the community hasn't forgotten about them, that they love them. And this place is a constant testimony to God's goodness in Grants Pass. And so thanks, John, for being here with us on the Week at the GRM podcast, the inaugural podcast. And hopefully by the time all the editing's done, Greg will add some really cool intro and make us sound really hip and cool. And,
Well, we are anyways.
well, true. Look, it doesn't get better than that. Hey, if you like the sound of this podcast, if you like the things that we've talked about here, if you found it interesting, would you share it with your friends, particularly on social media, but you can share it in an email, you can share it in a text message. Get the word out to what we're doing. The only way that people are going to know is if you tell them. And so please encourage people to follow us on Facebook, on our Facebook page. Check out our website. We've got lots more good information up there that you can check out all the time. It's always available. That is grantspassmission.org. In the meantime, God bless you all, and thank you for listening, and we'll see you again next week.